All right, so here we're given a situation where the two pentagons shown are congruent. So we're trying to complete the following. So, B corresponds with what? So B corresponds with, and here we're not given the measures of these sides, so we're kind of having to go off of looks and appearance, which we don't like to do. We like to go off of givens, but based on the appearance, it looks like B and R correspond, right? Because it looks like the short side KC is pretty distinguishable, so that's ES. And then going from there, SR corresponds with KB, right? So it looks like R and B correspond. Let's see, black, BLACK, that corresponds with ROHES, right? All right, and then let's see what else. We have angle E, that the measure of angle E corresponds with C, so the measure of angle C should be equal to the measure of angle E. KB equals, so KB goes with SR, right? So that means that they should each be 4 centimeters. So because if they're congruent, that means their measures are the same, right? All right, and then it says if CA is perpendicular to LA, so CA perpendicular to LA, name 2 right angles. So right angle would be angle CAL or LAC, and then the other one, the one that corresponds, so angle A here should correspond with angle H, right? So right here, so this should also be a right angle. So angle EHO should be right angles. Okay. All right, so here we're trying to justify if these two triangles are congruent, right? And there's really 3 triangles, right? There's the outer triangle, and then there's the 2 inner triangles, right? So remember, for figures to be congruent, they have to have congruent. All their corresponding sides and angles should be congruent. So let's start with the sides. So here we're given side AB and AD are congruent, right? So side AB is congruent with side AD. Okay, that's given, right? And then we're also given that BC and CD are congruent. So BC is congruent with CD, right? Okay. Now, the other side that we're not given is AC, right? And AC is part of both triangles. It's shared. And here's where we haven't used it a whole lot yet, but here's where the reflexive property is going to come in. So AC is congruent to AC, and that's by the reflexive property, okay, of congruence. So whenever two figures share a side or an angle, then you can use the reflexive property there. Okay, and that's going to be a common one. All right, so we know all 3 sides are congruent now, right? So we can say that AC is congruent with itself. So now let's look at the angles. So we know that angle B and angle D are congruent, right? That's given. They have the same number of tick marks. So angle B is congruent to angle D, given. Okay. So now we know that angle BCA is a right angle, right? Which means that angle ACD is a right angle, right? The AC is perpendicular to BC, so we know that those are right angles, and we know that right angles are congruent, right? All right angles are congruent. So BCA is congruent with angle DCA. And we know that by the fact that all right angles are congruent. All right. So now the next angle we have is this angle here and this angle here, right? So angle BAC and angle DAC, right? Now we can't use the reflexive property because that's not the same angle, right? This angle is not the exact same as this angle, even though they have the same vertex. So we have to use something else, right? So since we know that two angles in this triangle on the left are congruent with the two angles in this triangle on the right, we can use the third angle theorem and say that, okay, well, angle BAC must be congruent with angle DAC. And we can say that by the third angle theorem. All right, so now we just proved that all the angles are the same, all the corresponding angles are congruent, all the corresponding sides are congruent, and so we can say that yes, these two triangles are congruent, right? And let's make a congruent statement to top it off. So triangle ABC, right? ABC is congruent with triangle A corresponds with A, right? So I'm going to put A first in the second triangle. B corresponds with D because they have the same angle measure. So I'm going to put D second since B is second. And then, of course, process of elimination, C comes third, and C corresponds with C in both. Okay? All right, so that's my congruent statement.